expanded. The orc write-up, you don't meet any orcs. You meet the god who created the orcs. And you hear a conversation between the gods, which I always like. I always think it's fun when you get to hear the gods talk in a fantasy novel. A little bit, Master of Jackals, a little bit. Only to bring it in line with certain pieces of data. Because you don't need to meet humans, Master of Jackals. You already are one. Right? Ancestry, Orc Revised. So I was like, well, it's cool. It is cool that you get to hear this conversation between the gods, and they're talking about creating the orcs, and then they do it. And it's like, oh, look, here they exist. I thought that was really fun. However, it is much more valuable to all of us as players, as directors, to meet an orc. So this is what I wrote. You folks ready? You sitting comfortably? Take it easy, Sam. Sam McGurn. Oh, yeah. When you first read the Jago fiction I posted, you wondered if it was the new Revenant ancestry fiction. I think it would make I don't think there's anything wrong with well, actually, now that I think about it, there is something wrong with it, which is that the death, fuck. The Revenant fiction that you read in the ancestry set, you do get to meet a Revenant, but they don't do or say anything Revenant-y. They're just a paladin. They're just a badass paladin church cop. And I think the Jago fiction would be much more powerful. Unfortunately, it's too fucking long. It's way too long. It needs to be about 1,000 words, give or take. And I think Jago's like 3,000. It might be more. Yep, it's 3183. I'd have to chop it down by a lot. And I don't think I could do that. But you're right. If you read, that fiction I wrote for my character that I played last week, which I don't want to read because it's hard. It's hard to do all the voices in that one. It's hard to inhabit the characters in an emotional way. So. I was like, well, you should meet an orc. You should get to meet. And then as soon as it was like, you should meet these people, with one or two exceptions, I think we can get away with. Like the humans, the main character in this narrative is a human. And I was like, now it should be the getting the team together thing, which I love. It's my favorite thing in the world, is getting the team together, both consuming and writing. And so I was like, yeah. Let's replace the dwarf one with the moment where, and I had to go do a little bit of work in the alphabetizing. They're going to be alphabetized in the books. So that means they have to meet in this order. So you don't see the moment where the human recruits the high elf, but from then on, you see them recruit the dwarf next and the Hakan next and blah, blah, blah. And that requires doing some rewriting here or there and completely throwing out the Hakan section and rewriting it, which I'm in the process of doing. And we might get to that. Forge Cleric, absolutely. All the time people talk about it. Do you know what what's up, Scotland? Do you know what our best day of funding in the 30 days was if you subtract the first 3 and the last 3? It was the day we posted the human ancestry write-up. And we got so many people commenting on that. They liked the fiction. They said, this is inspiring. I'm inspired. It makes me want to play it. They like absolutely. We see it all the time. Yeah. So I think it's a home run. So this is the first draft. The first draft. So it has to go to sensitivity. It's got to go through editing. It may get cut for length. We'll see. I don't know, but I don't think so. That we're going to replace the 4 gods talking with this. The orc pulled her great axe from the split skull of the newly dead ogre. Prone heroes scrambled to their feet. Dazar healed the wounded. The orc hopped down from the corpse of the defeated. Elg was a ruin ogre, she said, infected with a troll disease. An inconvenience for Trollkin, but to an ogre, she indicated the mutated ogre. You weren't to know. Oh, good, Sir John said with obvious relief. You speak Kalian. Yes, the orc spoke. She seemed distant. She gave John a look. I speak the language of your conquerors. John smiled. He liked this orc already. And this is because O happens after H. By the stars, Ardashir said with open joy on his face. You saved our lives. It must be you who we seek. Corvo looked at the assembled heroes, a motley band. You did most of the work, she said. She seemed disinterested in them and everything. "You waited until we proved our mettle before acting," Dazar said, and the way he spoke, it was unclear if this was an accusation or mere observation. "If you couldn't hold your own," the orc said, "there'd be no point helping you." Her eyes rested on Sir John. "John," he said. "Corva," the orc said. "Of the howling," John said. "Late of the howling," Corva said, and looked into the forest with apparent disinterest. Already on the back foot, John thought. Well, if it was easy, it wouldn't be called a job. "We've been looking for you," Sir Vantikalisax said. I don't know if I... orc, D for Dragon Knight? Yeah, so he can be here. Even though P hasn't happened yet, shh, don't tell anybody. Corva turned to face him and stared at his shield. "I surmised as much," she said. "It seems your plan was to wander around the wood until something tried to kill you, in the hopes of attracting my attention." "Well, we didn't have a lot of better options," John said. We seek the chieftain of the howling." "That is my brother." John looked at Embers. "We were told the howling was led by a woman." Corva sighed and looked away into the forest. "My sister died, leaving my people leaderless. I tried to save her. I failed. I tried to lead in her stead. I failed." She said these things with no emotion, no inflection. I think I gave it more emotion than she did. She said, let me try it again. Corva sighed and looked away into the forest. "My sister died, leaving my people leaderless. I tried to save her. I failed. I tried to lead in her stead. I failed." She said these things with no emotion, no inflection. Then her gaze dropped to the sandy ground and her eyes unfocused. A moment passed. "How clever the dead are," she said, her voice a little hollow. "To torment us from the grave." John saw the broken swords on her belt. 5 swords, John said. 5 broken swords. He looked at Corva anew. I don't think I've ever seen an orc survive 3 challenges. "They couldn't kill me, and I wouldn't yield." She looked at Vant's shield again, and she couldn't resist commenting. "I thought the Dragon Knights were dead." Vantikalisax drew himself up, but said nothing. "Yeah, well," John said, looking at his friend. "They couldn't kill him." He turned back to Corva with a feral grin on his face. "And he wouldn't yield." Corva nodded once at the Dragon Knight. "We need the howling," John said. "If we get you your tribe back." Corva sighed and said nothing for several... Actually, have I already? No, I think this is... Some of this may get cut. After Corva sighed and said nothing for several rounds, after a moment, she returned from her reverie to look at John. "I'd rather go fishing." John smiled. "My sister liked fishing, too." "Why not talk to my brother?" "Because we are not fools," Embers said, and Corva locked eyes with her, standing a little straighter. The orc's brown eyes burned, and it seemed the group rose somewhat in the orc's estimation. The orc nodded once. "The men of farm and field go to war," Vantikalisax said, using the orcish term for humans. "A war against Lord Saxton and his priest." Corva turned to John. "How is this your matter?" John tried to find a way to tell the story that wouldn't take all day. He kicked at a stone with his boot as he thought. A family came... Is this not hugely too long? I think it might be. Is there not a cut down version of this? Nope, it's about right. It'll fit. John, yeah, blah, blah, blah. A family came to me. They're desperate. Their town is desperate. They can either die or fight, and they cannot fight. So they hired me. Corva raised an eyebrow. "How much did they buy you for?" 9 copper bits. Corva stared at him. "That's nothing." John shrugged. "It was everything they had. The village sold everything they had left." John relaxed as he saw Corva's eyes soften. She understood. "A difficult offer to refuse," she said. "Aye," Dazar said solemnly. Corva looked up to watch 3 crows idly circling, rising, riding a heat haze into the sky. "How many is the opposition?" Saxton has no regulars, just some knights. We can take care of them. But he has the Whitewater, led by Bonebreaker Dorcor. That's 3 companies of elite light orc foot against a handful of peasant levies. We need the Howling. Perhaps, Corvus said, and turned away from the crows to look out over the heroes. I know Dorcor. She is not like my brother, a head of meat and muscle. Dorcor is a thinker. You seek the Howling because you seek a counter to the Whitewater. She looked at John. But even better, talk to Dorcor. Deny Saxton his pet orc clan, and earn the allegiance of the Whitewater. Is such a thing possible? Ember said. A moment passed. Corva didn't break eye contact with John. It's possible, she said. The Howling or the Whitewater tribe, Dazar said. Either would be a formidable foe in any battle. Such is the reputation of orcish warlore. Corva shook her head. Orcs have no great love for battle. We love trees and green things. We love an unspoilt land. For this reason did Kul place us in the world, the last of the original speaking peoples. But also did Kul place the fire within you, Ember said. Yes, Dazar said. You are not pacifists. You are warriors. We are pacifists, Corvus said with an emphasis that seemed almost a shout, then a beat of silence, and a smile played across her lips. And we are warriors. We're not here to make a deal, John said. We are not for sale, and neither are you. This is about righting wrongs. It's about helping people. He paused, and something unrehearsed, unbidden, came from his lips. It's about living with yourself, sleeping at night. Battles do not bring restful sleep, Corvus said. The opposite, I find. Battles bring glory. Battles make heroes, Dazar insisted. And John felt like he learned something about the dwarf in that moment. He could hear that Dazar believed this to be true and knew it was a lie. It was a test. Wars make only one thing. Corpses. Corva looked down at the high Theocron, who nodded. Test passed. And veterans, Sir John said, who covet peace. Corva nodded. Respect. Aye, she said. She looked at each hero, and then at John again. Well, she said, what do we do next? So that's what I think is going to go. We'll see. It's got, like I said, it's got to go through the same. It's coming online at something of the last minute, but that doesn't mean it gets to jump to the end of the line. It's got to, it's got to go through sensitivity reading. It's got to go through. Yeah, Eldora Rising. Wait till you meet. I'm working on. I have to rewrite it because it's got all the wrong characters in it, and that was a pain in the ass. But I think I basically cracked that. Because the Hakan fiction I was writing, it was on Blue Sky, had Servant Calisax in it, had Jackson Bootblack in it, and that was too many characters because of where H is. So I had to cut it, so it was just John, Dazar, and Embers. So this is I've already read the new Hakan fiction elsewhere. This is a chunk I wrote, so I can cut this bit and stick it in here. This is just a couple paragraphs. Don't get excited. But this is after the Hakan, the iconic Hakan Ardashir saves them. Don't take this the wrong way, Sean confessed. But I was afraid we'd meet a barrowman on this journey. The giant smiled. Fear? At a meeting of friends? Ah, these must be treacherous times indeed if simple folk like us have cause to fear meeting strangers. No offense, John said. It's just that, well, we only see one of you when you come down from the hills, following your doom, which is usually John tried to find a less dramatic way to say it, but nothing came to mind. A tiding of ill omen, he said. Anyway. Well, Forge Cleric, one of the things I said was maybe it could go into at the end of the Heroes book, but that's not really up to me. That's up to the page count. If there's page count, then maybe, but I don't know if we have it. It sort of looks like we're going to come pretty close to hitting 400 pages anyway. Dame Sabriel, that makes me very happy. I'm glad you like it.